Hey guys, it's Allison with Imperfect Pages, and I am back with part 2 of my used journal collection tour thing. Yeah. So last time I did this shelf here, which these are the journals that I go back and revisit more often. These aren't all of my journals. I do have a few more in a tote that I'll do in a third video because they're ones that I don't go back and revisit often. I'm gonna turn this a little bit so you guys can actually, I think that's better. Okay, anyway, so my last video was long and kind of rambly, and I think that's okay. It seems like other people like the rambly videos as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and just stick with that for this again. I'm gonna try not to ramble too much about each individual journal, just kind of go over, do like a broad overview of each one, and then maybe show you guys a few pages in each if there's ones that I can share. So yeah, I guess I'll just one more thing before I dive into them. I did have a couple people mention that the music in the last video was kind of distracting, so I'm not going to put music to this one. So if you guys can hear like some of the background noise of my house, like the air conditioner and like kind of like the creakiness of it, I'm sorry. It's kind of a catch-22. I either have distracting music or there's distracting noises in my house. So yeah, we're gonna try no music this time and see what happens. So yeah, we'll just start from this side here. And these are not in chronological order. They're just in kind of whatever order I want to put them in. I'm thinking about making another video where I show them each in chronological order. Because that was a request as well. So I do hear you guys, I do read your comments, I appreciate them. But yeah, let's just dive right into this. This one is just a plain one subject notebook. I used this as a work journal at my old job when I was working at a hotel. So on the front there's just a bunch of like hotel related memes, and in here I just would kind of write about how work was going. I would set goals for myself. If there were interesting stories, I would write them down. If I had nice reviews left for me from guests, I would write them down. I tracked my schedule in here. I know it's sideways, but I don't want to expose myself. So yeah, this one, it's like I said, was just a plain one subject notebook. And this one I used from, let's see if there's a date. I started it in July of 2018 and I used it through, I used it through December of that year. That's my cat. Juliet, kitty, 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 come here. Come here. This is my kitten, one of my kittens. Look, Juliet, she doesn't like to be picked up, but she likes to be in the camera, so you guys might see her passing through. Her and Luna like to be in videos in the background. So this is my third time trying to record this, and my patience is running a little thin for my camera. So let's see if it's actually going to record less, more than 30 seconds of this. So here's my first one that I'm going to show you. It's an artist loft journal from Michael's. It's just a one of the sketchbooks, and so it's got blank pages in it, and I used this from September 15th of 2020 through December 4th of 2020, so it lasted me several months. It had some holiday stuff in it, stuff about the election, some stuff about COVID and the holidays. Here's a BTS spread that I did. Yeah, so there's this first one. And yeah, this was actually one of my favorites from 2020. I really enjoyed the texture of the cover and stuff, and that's, I don't know, it's got this nice like cork texture to it. And this was only like $4, so yeah, perfect. And we're gonna go to this one next. This is one of the nice leather journals from Barnes & Noble. It had ties on it, but I decided to cut them off because I didn't like them. They just kept getting in my way. So this one is from 2018. It's nice and chunky. I did leave a lot of pages unfilled, but honestly, I had used this from the beginning of May 2018 through, I used it through the end of July. and I'd carried it on vacation, and then while I was on vacation, I ended up getting a new journal while I was there, so I wanted to jump into the new one. So this one ended up getting abandoned while I was on vacation, which is fine. It served its purpose while I was using it. So yeah, that's this one. I did use a lot of paper tabs in it, which have taken a beating over time. But yeah, that's that one. I'm gonna film this in sections. So yeah, if it cuts out kind of weird, it's because I'm just piecing things together. So just bear with me. Okay, so this next one is another Barnes & Noble leather journal thing. You can see this one has ties on it, and I just tied them into knots because they were getting in my way. That's why I cut them off the other one, but I didn't want to cut these off because they had a slightly different texture than the other ones, and I just thought it would like mess it up. This one, the cover kind of took a beating, as you can see. Like, it's got this weird crease thing from how the cover opens, and I didn't really like that about this one. It just, if you look at it, it kind of bends weird when you open it. This was a summer journal. I used it from June 1st of 2019 through July 23rd. So kind of roughly the same time as that other one. I used these 2 summers in a row. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in June and July. There's like birthdays, and it's usually just a busier time for me. So my summer journals don't typically last me more than 2 months. This one has some blank pages in the back of it, but not nearly as many as the other one did. This one I did do an art challenge. I can't really show much of. Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can show. I can show you this art collage-y kind of page. I was just using up some paper and some like vellum-y kind of stuff. Had some photos of some storm clouds. I remember this summer we'd had a lot of really bad severe weather, like thunderstorms and stuff. So like a lot of my journal entries were about storms. Here's a collage-ish kind of page that I did. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that I can show in some of these, which, you know, to be fair, they are my personal journals, so I don't feel like I'm obligated to share every page with the internet. So yeah, this one is just, it's got some elastic, like jewelry elastic. This is from 2018. This came from Ross, like the store. I don't know the brand because the back cover kind of took a beating, as you can see. It kind of fell apart. And I know there used to be like a ending page that had like the brand written down here. I don't know what happened to it, so I apologize. I don't know what the brand is on this. But I used this from April 14th of 2018 through May 8th of 2018. In this journal, I was getting ready to move from my old house to my new house, so there was just a lot of to-do lists and stuff in here. There are some artsy-ish pages like this one, but the line spacing was, wow. The line spacing was really big, so like it only took me, you know, 4 or 5 sentences to fill a page, and that just, it doesn't cut it for me. I like to be able to fit more on one page. I really thought there would be more to show you guys in this one, but I guess you can see there's some writing in here. But yeah, this one was kind of hard to use. Once the spine broke, which you can see it literally like busted. I tried masking tape to fix it, but it just did not fix it. But honestly, you know, this journal, it did what I needed it to do. It got me through the transition from moving to my old house to this house. So there's that one. Okay, and we're gonna go into this next one, which is, this one is a Big Bang Theory inspired journal. I don't see a brand name on it. I'm pretty sure this just came from Amazon, honestly. But I ran into the same issue with this one. The cover spine thingy broke. But look at this really neat collage thing at the end of it with the dots. That's neat. This one had glued signatures instead of like stitched in signatures, which I didn't really like because the pages would fall out. So this one I used from, hopefully I wrote it in here. Maybe I didn't write it in here. Sorry, it's going to take me a hot second to find my first entry with a date. Okay, I use this from March 13th through April. Sorry, if you guys see me checking the, like, looking at the top of the screen, it's because I'm checking to make sure this is still recording. I use this through, the last entry was April 12th of 2018. So it lasted me about a month, which honestly isn't bad. It didn't really have that many pages in it, and like I said, they were glued signatures instead of stitch bound, and I don't like glued signatures because they're just not, like, secure enough. This one is from 2020. This is an Exceed journal from Walmart. You can see my word of the year for the beginning of 2020 was mindful. And I do have some stickers from Studio Katie on the back, and I think these are hers on the front as well. I don't recognize this one from like a specific store, so I'm not really sure where that one came from. This one I started on December 29th of 2019, so on January 1st basically. And I used it through, what was the last page? I didn't write a date on here. The last written date I have is February 23rd, but I used it for a few more days than that, but I just don't know what the very last date I used it was, which is fine. I would guess that I probably finished this at the end of February and probably started something fresh in March, would be my guess. This one, it's got a lot of personal stuff in it, so there's not really a whole lot I can share, honestly. I did do I had done these like prompt things in the back that I was gonna go back and write on. Like there were like words, gratitude, goals, take a little break, that kind of stuff. I was gonna go back and write about those prompts, like whatever like my mind thought of when I read those, but I never did that, so that's okay. I don't really mind leaving some things unfinished. I can always go back and fill stuff in the future. It's kind of how I look at it. Like, you know, 50 years down the road, if I pick this up and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so inspired by those prompts, I can write on them. So yeah, don't freak out about leaving blank spaces in your notebook. Your future self just might thank you for it. This one I used at the beginning of 2021. This is a journal from Amazon. I think it's just the Amazon Basics, like Moleskine knockoff, and I just did some collage kind of stuff on the front. And I used this from December 20th of 2020 is when I started kind of filling stuff in, getting it ready for the new year, and I used it through January 24th. So this one really only lasted me like a month. I remember writing a lot in here. The first couple days of the year, we actually had an ice storm, and our power was out. So I spent like a couple hours just writing in this journal by candlelight. because there was nothing else to do. So yeah, here's a BTS spread that I did for Taehyung's birthday at the end of December, because I had run out of space in my December journal, so some of that stuff kind of carried over into this one, which is kind of why technically I started it at the end of December, even though this was a 2021 journal. This one is just a bunch of songs I was listening to at the time. I did a lot of writing in here, like a lot of writing. And this paper held up to watercolor as well, so I had watercolor pages and then just write over them. So it kind of gave it a little bit of chunk, not a whole lot, but just enough. So yeah, this one will go back on here. Okay, this next one is an Exceed journal from Walmart. This is the one that I used after this one, after I abandoned this Barnes & Noble one. This is the one that I picked up on vacation. The cover just says, an artist lives here in this book with an arrow. This came from Redbubble. These came from Walmart. I think this came from Etsy. It's just a Jeep sticker with some like paw prints instead of E's. This back cover collage came from a Flow Book magazine. I used this from July 21st through... I really should do better when writing dates, end dates in here. August 29th of 2018. So it lasted me about a month. I was starting my new job in this journal when I had started working at the hotel. So there's a lot of just writing. This was a dot grid notebook, which honestly I don't enjoy dot grids that much. I feel like it makes my handwriting too small. Like it makes me feel like I'm like having to write really tiny. And when I'm writing fast, my handwriting gets kind of sloppy, so the dot grid just doesn't work for me. Here's a page where I just wrote out things within my control, just kind of as a self-care activity. There's some watercolor stuff in here. There's a lot of writing. Here's a watercolor page that I had started. These notebooks do hold up to watercolor. I do notice that the dot grid paper is thinner than the ruled paper. I don't really know what the difference is in the journals, but for some reason the dot grid paper just seems to be thinner feeling in general than the ruled paper. So like the Exceed notebooks are really a great alternative for Moleskines, but if you like thicker paper, then you should definitely get the ruled. Speaking of Moleskines, this is one of my favorites actually. This is a limited edition Keith Haring Moleskine like collaboration thing. You can't see the whole cover because I've put stickers on it, but this is what it looked like before I put stickers on it. Unfortunately, the spine broke on this one as well. I don't know what the deal was. I had a bad stretch where the spines on my notebooks just were not holding up. And I know I put a lot of stuff in my journals, but I mean, this is a Moleskine notebook. I felt like it should have held up a little better than it did. This one I started October 16th of 2018 and ended it on, if I can get this last page to open here. December, well, I actually used this through the end of December. I used this in partnership with, you know, I didn't use a Christmas journal that year. Everything went in here. I was gonna say, I thought I used it in collaboration with another journal, but I don't think I did. I used just this. This one I used some tabs on the edges to just kind of mark off the months, as you can see. This one had a lot of writing in it because my job at the time had a lot of downtime. So when I had downtime, I would do writing. There's a tiny bit of collage-ish kind of stuff, not a lot. I was also doing NaNoWriMo this year, the year that I was using this. So I was tracking my word counts and stuff in there. Yeah, there's not. This is one of my favorite pages from this journal. It just has some Panic at the Disco lyrics, which, if you've heard Brendan Urie's new album, that's not Panic at the Disco. That's a conversation for a different day. We'll go ahead and shelve that one. And like I said, that was just a Moleskine limited edition. Okay, I don't really know how we're doing on timing. I'm filming this in like small clips of like 5-minute chunks. That way I'm not losing my progress if my phone decides to just, you know, freak out on me again. So, you know, I'm really sorry if this is a really long and rambly video. I'm trying to contain myself here, but this is a Moleskine or Artist Loft journal from Michaels, and it just has some scrapbook and craft paper and a little die cut thing that I just collaged on the front. I used this from August 24th, 2019 through October 31st. So I used this pretty much for 2 months, just a little over 2 months. And yeah, on the inside covers I always just try to add collage bits during the time that I'm using it. I feel like a visual diary is very fitting for this. There's a little selfie. I always try to include a photo of myself in each of my journals. That way I know. It's kind of like the author's page at the end of a book where they put the photo of the author and the author gets to write like a little blurb. I feel like that's what I'm doing when I put a selfie in my journals. I know I can see who was writing it. You know, I know it was me, but you know, through different phases of your life, you're going through different things, and your writing style might be influenced by those changes. So I think it's just really interesting to be able to visually see who is writing. This doesn't have a lot that I can share, but I do have some Snoopy, Peanuts, comic strips on this side. I put this bike magazine clipping in here because I was riding my bike a lot. We had our local festival here in town, and I'm not going to show it because it does have my hometown name on here, and I don't want to share that with the internet. There is a couple readathon lists that I had made and then didn't actually read. I like this page. Ignore my little schedule thing that's on the left, but I like this page here. I like the colors in it. That orange and pink goes really well with the different shades of blue. I really like that. This one was kind of a interesting, messy page. I still like to make messy pages like this where I paint and then add stuff over it. During this journal, I was taking a sociology class, and it wasn't like a traditional class where you read chapters of a book and take notes on it, and you know, you go to class and you discuss the chapters and you take tests. This class was literally completely discussion based. I went to class once a week, and it was like a 3-hour class, and we would sit in a circle and just have like a big group discussion, and then at the end of the semester everyone just had to do like a final project, and that was literally the class. But like we got to talk about all these like current events and how you know, the human mind and our behaviors and whatnot are influenced by these events that are happening in the world. And I thought it was really interesting. And I felt like I learned more from that class than I did from any class where you just, you know, go in and read a textbook and, you know, regurgitate the information into tests and quizzes. So yeah, that was really interesting. So I've got some of my notes and stuff in here, which is also kind of neat to look through. Like, I never took a notebook to class. I literally took my journal, and I would just kind of like jot down like random thoughts throughout class or things that the professor would say, because she always had some of like the most bizarre, like absurd things to say. But then when you go back and like think about it, there's a lot of like really, really intuitive stuff. So yeah, when I flip back through here, it re-triggers some of those thoughts and memories, and it's really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't think there's really anything else I can, not really a whole lot I can share. There's a note in here. This is gonna be a story, so let me stop and restart the video here. So flipping through here, actually, the person that I'm dating now, I actually used to work with at my old job at the hotel. We worked together for several years, and then he left the company and like did his own thing, and then like I ended up leaving the hotel like a year later, and we actually met back up like a couple months ago, back in March, at a like we did a work reunion thing with a bunch of other coworkers, and he asked me out. Well, when we worked together, we would share books and stuff. Like, we shared a lot of the same like interest in like reading interests, so I would share books with him, he'd share books with me, and he would always leave me like little notes in the books when he would like he'd put a note in the book and then just stick it back in my locker, because we hardly ever passed each other besides for maybe like 10 minutes a day. But I kept all the notes, and it's really sweet to look back at, because like I have his notes in my journals, and now we're dating, and it's kind of weird how things change with time, and you just never know, like when you meet someone and your paths split, you just never know like when you'll come back and meet someone again and, you know, have a completely different experience with that person. Like, you know, if you would have asked me 3 years ago if I would have been dating this person, I would have been like, well, you know, I would, it's just like I wouldn't have pictured myself dating him, not because I didn't like him, but because our lives were on completely different paths. So it's weird how with time things have changed, and it's just really special to have those notes and like the memories that came with them in my journals. So he doesn't know I have a YouTube channel, so he won't see this, but I thought it's neat to share that stuff, and it is part of your journey in life. So even, you know, if you're watching this and you're like, well, why should I keep a journal? What kind of stuff should I put in my journals? Why should I keep random things and stick them in there? Because you never know how life is going to change and what things are going to hold memories. Keep the stuff from your friends. Keep the cards from your families. Keep notes from coworkers. Keep photos. Print off photos and shove them in a notebook. Like, you just never know when your paths are going to cross with these people again, or, you know, maybe you had these friendships and they, you know, you both end up going your separate ways, or you have a falling out or whatever. You still have the memories, because all of it builds you into who you are as a person. Even if that stuff seems minuscule, it really isn't. It all ties into who you are as a person and who you grow into. So if you're thinking about throwing stuff away, maybe consider putting it in a journal, because who knows, you might date this guy that you worked with 3 years ago, and you still have the notes from the books that you guys would swap back and forth to look back on. So that's my ramble. I don't know if I'll even put this in the video. Okay, I'm gonna go into this next one. This one is really special to me. I'll have to make a video someday about, like, if you guys are interested, I'll do like a short video about my medical journey, because I've had chronic illness for 7 years. It actually was 7 years. This past week was when I started having issues. So this actually was a journal that I started when I got out of a chronic illness rehab program. So this actually pretty much covers my journey of figuring out how to get back into the routine of life and navigating a normal lifestyle while also balancing chronic illness, but trying not to focus on my chronic illness too much. So being able to find that balance, and between acknowledging that I do have chronic health problems, but not letting it take over my health and my, you know, like my mindset. And so this has some really deep journal entries in it. So I won't really be able to share any journal pages in here, but I'll share the inside cover because it has a photo of me from when I used it. This I used from May 4th of 2017 through September 7th of 2017. So it definitely lasted me quite a long time. I was also using a sketchbook at the time, and I was using some of my other writing notebooks for like specific writing projects. So this one actually lasted me quite a while. I was hoping that there would at least be something I could show. And I don't. This one I'll show. It's a travel spread. We went to a state park that's about like 2 hours from my house, and did some hiking with my brother's school. At the time he was in 6th grade, and we went on a field trip. My dad and I chaperoned. In this one, I had dyed my hair rainbow colors. It was like purples and pinks and blues. I'm covering up a photo strip of my cousin and I, and my brother on the other side. I don't know if you can see it, but I had like mermaid hair. Like, it was beautiful. It went like halfway down my back. It was pinks and purples and blues and teal, and it was so pretty. But it took like 6 hours to get it colored, so I've I've not done that since then. But I thought that was a really neat memory in there. There are some interesting things in here. Some cards from the people that I was in my rehab program with are in here, because we would send each other cards after the program ended. We would send each other like little notes in the mail and just be like, I hope you're doing well. You know, I'm here to support you if you need it. You know, don't feel guilty reaching out to me if you need to talk. I started using some watercolor and pencils in my journals. I did a little bit of travel journaling. I had some pressed flowers in here. I'll try to pull these up here. But yeah, this is one of my tough journals to look back at. My childhood pet passed away while I was using this journal, so that was difficult to see. Here's some more pressed petals that were, I think they were rose petals, honestly. So this one is hard to look back at, but it also, I had a lot of growth in here, so this one is really special to me. So there's that one. Here's this one. It's a spiral bound journal, as you can see. I used it from September 7th through December 31st, so I used this one literally right after this one. And I honestly hate spiral bound journals. I hate using them. I don't feel like they're sturdy enough for all of the random things that I put in my journals. I stuff way too much into my pages for the spirals to hold up, or to not have pages falling out. I don't know if there's really much I can share in this one either, because again, I was still kind of navigating how to get through life with chronic illness without bringing too much attention to it, but also not ignoring it, because when you do have a chronic illness, you have to, you know, acknowledge that you're not, I don't want to say you're not capable, but you're definitely, you have the underhand, compared to, you know, some other people that, you know, classmates or coworkers or whatever. You may not be able to do everything that they can do. So for me, trying to figure out how to be aware of my limitations, but also not limiting myself on what I could and couldn't do, was kind of difficult. So I spent a lot of time kind of just writing through my emotions, because part of my rehab programs, like rules, was that you weren't supposed to talk to people about your symptoms unless it was like a doctor or something. So most of my talking about my symptoms happened in my journals. So actually in this one we adopted Luna. She came home on October 3rd. I thought I had photos of her in here, but apparently that's, you know, oh, I do have a photo of us in here. This was at the shelter. We knew she was meant for us. As soon as we met her, she was trying to like jump up in our laps, and she's 70 pounds. She's not a lap dog, but she also is a lap dog. So that was really cool. There's a lot of good memories in here as well, along with the hard stuff. I did have to go to the ER in this journal for, you know, honestly, I don't really remember what I was in the ER for. I don't remember, but there's a hospital bracelet in here. It says ER visit. So I'm not sure entirely why, but you know, that it is there. I like this page. It's got this little like bumpy sticker thing, and it just said thankful for. So yeah, the only nice thing about this spiral notebook is I was using it while I was in school, so I could open the spiral and just set this on my desk and kind of like jot down random thoughts and ideas throughout classes, and it wasn't as obvious as having like, you know, something like this sitting on my desk. So it was just a little more discreet. So yeah, there's that one. And we're getting down to the last few journals on this shelf, which are, 2 of them are travel journals, and one of them is a journal from when I was in my pain rehab, chronic illness rehab program. And when I say rehab, it's not like drug rehab. It's literally, it was a rehabilitation program where every day we would go in, we'd do physical therapy, occupational therapy. They would help you with your like nutrition and medications. You had like group therapy, art therapy, all kinds of stuff to help you basically get back on your feet. And like I said, if you guys want to hear about that kind of stuff, like I could definitely do a video on that. I don't know how much I can share, because it is, you know, there were other people in that program with me. But yeah, before I get into the travel journals, let's just pause and restart here. Okay, this is a travel journal. This is from my trip to Wyoming in 2020. I know it's controversial that I traveled during the pandemic, but I double masked on the plane. I literally flew out to Wyoming, stayed at my friend's house. You know, I wasn't staying in a hotel. We didn't really go out much. The stuff we did go do, it was all outdoors, socially distanced. It was a very safe visit. And like I said, we masked up, and, you know, it was we were very aware of, you know, everything that was going on at the time. This side, just on my first page, I always just do the dates, and I like to do a little step tracker thing to see like how many steps I take on vacation. I try to always stick an envelope up front for random bits and bobs. This, I would love to do an actual like full flip through of someday, but I have to go through and put sticky notes over the personal information, because you know, My name is on the boarding passes. My friend and her family's names are in here. And I don't have permission to share those online. And so I need to go through, before I ever do a flip through, go through and cover the personal stuff. But there are, let me see if I can find, at least something to share. Here's some unfinished pages. I just have photos from Yellowstone. Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can share in here. If you've seen my Instagram account, some of my pages I have shared on there. But yeah, this is just a mixed media sketchbook. And I realized I didn't tell you guys. This one is a Peter Pauper press. And I got this at a Mayo Clinic gift shop. So I would assume you can maybe get these online. It's just like this mixed media, like it's got paintbrushes and pens and pencils and stuff on it. This one came from Ross. It doesn't have a brand listed on it anywhere, so I'm honestly not sure. I'm not sure if you could find one like this again. So I'm sorry I forgot that on those other two, so I figured I'd squeeze that in real quick. This is another travel journal. This was from Florida, a trip that I took in 2016. This is a sketchbook that came from Ross. Again, it does not have a brand or anything on it. It has this neat little like pencil pen holder thing on it. And in here, I really just put a lot of photos and watercolor. I printed maps of all the places we went. I stuck the packing list in here. I put a wish list of like things that I wanted to do. Did this like really weird doodle of the back of my mom's car and the trailer that we used like to pack our stuff on. I was gonna try to find, oh, I like this page. All the states that we drove through, I doodled their state flowers on there as best as I could. They're not perfect, but you know, I thought that was kind of a neat way to make note of which states we drove through, was to mark their state flowers. This is a random doodle that honestly looks kind of weird. And I'm not really sure how it fits into the travel journal, but it is in there. A lot of the pages do stick together for some reason. I don't know. I'm not really sure why it stuck together so bad. I don't know if it was the glue that I used while I was there, or if it was just the texture of the pages and the photos. Like, as you can see, I literally put like full-sized photos in this. And I don't know if it was the photos that stuck together or if it was the glue, but you can hear, listen. Like, you can hear the pages like crunching from the glue. So I don't know what the deal is. I've not had that issue with like my other travel journals. I don't know if it was just this one specifically that just wanted to be difficult. I did use some gelatos on some of the pages like this. So I don't know if it was maybe the gelatos that stuck, but I've not had that issue with regular, like in my regular like journals. I've used gelatos in almost all of mine and the pages haven't stuck together. So I don't know. So I just usually try to be really careful when flipping through here. You can kind of see a little, there's a friendship bracelet that I had made and I just tucked it into the spine so that my cats don't mess with it while it's on the shelf. And then this one I'm not going to pull out, like I'm not going to open it and go through it, but it's just another sketchbook like that. And this has a bunch of photos and papers and cards and stuff from when I was doing that chronic illness rehab program. But like I said, it's personal and it's got other people's information and stuff in here too, so I'm not going to share it, but it is part of my collection. And I do flip through this one when I'm feeling not well or when I'm needing a little motivation, you know, to help me get back on my feet. So yeah, that is that's part 2. Stick this back on the shelf. Oh, we forgot this one. Yeah, so that is part 2. I'll be doing a part 3 at some point to go through my journals that I don't flip through often, but those are stored in my closet, so it might be a little bit before I get to those. So yeah, that is it for today. I appreciate you guys watching. Leave any feedback you've got in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed watching it. And again, I apologize for it being kind of like weirdly formatted. I felt like the best way to record it was to film it in chunks and then just smash it all together. So yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Okay, hey guys, sorry for the weird angle. And are you gonna get in the video, kitten? My cat's right in the way. There you go. Now you guys can see her feet and her cute little body. Come here. She wants to be in the videos so bad, but she doesn't want to commit because she's a little shy. But I realized when I was doing my journal collection video that I forgot like 4 journals that I've used this year. This one was, I used this at the beginning of the year. I used it to accompany my 600-page sketchbook that I ended up abandoning in March. But this was what I used to go back and forth to work, because obviously I could not carry a huge 600-page sketchbook back and forth to work, which that journal, sketchbook, notebook thing is in my collection of abandoned slash journals I don't revisit, because I did abandon that project after like 3 months. But this one I used to carry back and forth to work just so I had something to write on at my desk, and to kind of keep track of like daily stuff. This one is literally like almost all writing, so there's not really anything I can share. But this one I used from January 3rd through March 27th. So that was this one. It came from Amazon. Here's the brand. So there's that. This one, I showed in my July journal update. This one is actually finished now. It took me, I started this back in December of 2021, and then I abandoned it, picked it back up at the end of June, and then filled it in the month of July. So this one is complete as well. This one is the one I used after the Great Wave one. This is just from Barnes & Noble. The brand is the Flame Tree, and it's just one of the ones from like the clearance or like the dollar section at Barnes & Noble. I think it cost me like $8 or something like that. This one I used from March 28th through the last entry was on problem is I worked front to back and back to front in this one, so not every entry is in order. I used this one through the end of May. I pretty much just wrapped this up at the end of May, started another journal on June 1st. So this one lasted me about 2 months. This one was a good journal. There's a lot of good memories in here. I was planning some summer projects in here. We had baby geese that were born on our pond in this one. There's really not a lot I can share. This I can share. This is just some painting, some random painting that I did. I planted some flowers in here. I got a new tattoo. My brother went to prom, so there's prom photos in here. I read some books. Here's my little baby geese, which you can't see very well, and some watercolor. this was a good notebook. I really liked it. It was small enough to throw in my bag to take places, but it did chunk up quite a bit, which the spine held up really well, so you know what, I can't complain. This was the art journal that I used from January through March, and I do have a flip through of this up on my channel, so I won't go too much into it, but I used this from January to March. So yeah, these are all part of my used journal collection as well. And you know what, I'm sure I'm forgetting others, because I have so many journals that I've used and stuff that I've started and then abandoned, or stuff that's a work in progress. But those were 4 that I wanted to make sure that I included because they are all from this year as well. So yeah, that's that one.